How are you doing? I'm tired. I did laundry today. Plus, I gathered more of my basil back here and put it in the dehydrator, and I've got it up on the stove so all that smell will go out the window or the vent, the exhaust vent. Let me get little buddy out. I think he wants to go out. Come on. Come on. Come on, you want out? Come on. I don't know what he wants right now. You want to go out the other door? Is that what it is? Come on. Come on. Come on. Get. Come on. Come on. Come on. Maybe he'll be outside for a little bit. That's the way he is right now. I mean, he's so used. We were supposed to get more rain and we didn't. So my allergies, I've been coughing a little bit. Hopefully we'll get more rain. We need it. We got a little tiny joke of a sprinkle of rain the other night. Not enough to do anything. Well, hi Sharon, how are you? Got Sharon and Gladys. Well, thank you. I don't feel so pretty. I've been busy doing videos and cleaning house and one thing another, so. That shows we got 11 top messages, but I don't see but 3 in chat. 2 people in chat, actually. Helen Stewart, hello, how are you? Y'all been doing okay today? There's Trisha Whistler. Hello, Trisha. How are you? Yeah, I was over there in Tammy's live as well. I scheduled mine for tonight. I did the scheduling this morning, and when I heard her say that she was going to go live, I was watching Steven's live, and she said yes, she was going to go live, but I figured, well, she usually runs about 2 hours, so she'd probably be ending hers by the time I'd start mine at 7, so that's one reason I scheduled it for 7 o'clock. And then, too, I've got people that work and they have odd hours, and some of them say that they can't make my live because they're working. So, well, they couldn't make it Sunday because they worked in the afternoon, so I figured, well, maybe they could make it in the evening. So I want to kind of flip around and give everybody a chance to get in live if they want to. And there's Rhonda. Hello, Rhonda. How are you? From Northeast Canada. How's the weather in Canada? It was in the 90s today here, so it was pretty warm. No more rain. We got rain that one time, and that was it. Getting cold fast. Oh, frost. Your winter comes kind of early in Canada then. We don't usually get our first frost or freeze till like the first week in November. Sometimes we'll get a freeze on Halloween, 31st of October. Y'all ever wrestled with a queen size mattress in a very small bedroom? That's one of the things I did today. It was funny. I pulled all the blankets and everything off the bed because I was going to change the sheets anyway. But usually I'll flip the mattress over from one side to the other and rotate it that way. Well, this time I wanted to actually just turn the mattress around. You know, just flip sides with it, not turn it completely over. If you've never tried to do that in a very small bedroom, you haven't lived. I mean, I was trying to slide that big old mattress around, and it was hitting everything in the bedroom because my bedroom is so tiny, the bed takes up the whole bedroom. But I finally got it flipped around, turned around, and got all my sheets and everything back on the bed, got it made up. So I got that task completed for one more time. I like to rotate it at least once a year or so. Yeah, it's a job. And you know, where I had all the blankets and everything piled up in the floor, I was walking over blankets trying to get around to the other side of the mattress, and I was trying to tug it around, and oh, it was a job. I'd have to lift it up and get it around some stuff to get it over it. I barely had room to flip it around. Saying hello to you in Stephen's live, and you never said anything back, but I still love you. Well, I know, I thought I said hello in Stephen's live to you, Gladys. Maybe you didn't see it. There's so many people in chat, a lot of times I don't catch every single one. And then I was busy during that time. I was breaking basil to put in my dehydrator right back there. You see the white bottom of it? I filled it up with basil during Stephen's live. So I may have been doing that at the particular time you said hello and I didn't catch your chat. But yeah, I was doing that. I broke the rest of the basil, put it in the dehydrator, got that started, and I put it up on the stove where the exhaust fan is, because I turned that exhaust fan on to pull the heat and the smell out of the house. Because if I don't, the basil smell gets too strong in the house for me, and I will start coughing and gagging. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I wish I had just a regular full-size bed, you know. My other bedrooms have the twin-size beds that I had in here for my kids, and I can turn them around and move them and break them down or whatever real easy, but not this queen-size one. It's got these big old, it's got a big heavy box spring to it. The mattress is heavy, and then the frame itself is heavy. But I don't turn the whole bed around. I just wanted to spin the mattress around. Oh, something bit me on my foot. But I figured, you know, it would be easier just to slide it around than to flip it over. And like I said, for years I've been flipping it over. But I said I really need to start rotating it around, you know, just spinning it around instead of flipping it. So that's what I did this time. Because when you got a queen size bed and you have a tendency to sleep on one side, that one side you end up with a little hollow spot, you know, where you're sleeping every night. So I wanted to flip it around, spin it. You'd have laughed at me if you'd have seen me. It was funny. But I'm special. Yeah, Gladys, you're special. We know that. I got a joke of the day for y'all. What do you call a sleeping bull? Anybody know? I don't see any guesses. No guesses? Nobody knows? What do you call a sleeping bull? A dozy cow. You're kind of close, but no. Anybody else want to take a guess before I tell you the answer? He's a bulldozer. I couldn't resist that one. I come across it. Sometimes I check the quote of the day or the joke of the day, and that one came up. And I said, well, I got to tell that one in my live tonight. Yep, a bulldozer. That's what you call a sleeping cow, a bulldozer. Okay, I got another one. What do you call a pig that does karate? I thought I'd make our live fun tonight. Well, thank you, Rhonda. Kung Fu back bacon. That's a pretty good answer, Slim Twiggy. But the answer, let's see, Rhonda got the answer. It's pork chops. You call him a pork chop. And Sharon Tate come up with a pork chop. Okay, what did one pencil say to the other? Bone, Gladys? You still on bone? And there's Carl. Hello, Carl. Or Earl. No, it's Carl. I couldn't see it. It was too far away. Yeah, what do you say to one? What did one pencil say to the other one on the first day of school? Get the lead out. No. They said you're looking sharp. I know, Gladys, you're here. Okay, I got one more, and this is the last one. It says, why is no one friends with Dracula? Come on, guys, you got to know. It says, why is no one friends with Dracula? No one want to take a wild stab at it? He counts too much? No. Bloodthirsty beast? No. Bad breath? Any more guesses? He has unpleasant personality. I don't know. I want to drink your blood. No one wants to be friends with Dracula because he's a pain in the neck. Oh, it's because he's a pain in the neck. That's all the jokes I had. The Swordsman, hello. I don't think I've seen you in chat before. And Sharon Tate's here. Hello, the Swordsman. How are you? Hello, Sharon. Yeah, I found out that our company with our internet, they've been installing new features and all kind of stuff to their systems. And they told us that we'd have to bear with them, that things would be back to normal in October. Same time everything's going to be back to normal with our water company, looks like. But yeah, I didn't think it was my computer or anything. And I come to find out, I got a message from the city saying that they should have the problems taken care of and the new system up and running by October. So I'm hoping all my Wi-Fi and internet problems will go away then. Maybe they'll get everything taken care of. You just making supper? You're having a late supper. I usually try to have mine about 5 or 6. Well, it's clean and it's under the light, so I guess that's why. If it was dull, it would probably be dirty. Yeah, I've been busy. Brought in all the rest of the basil I had out there. Now there's some that's left real short, so if I have a recipe that I want to go out there and just break a handful of fresh basil and come in and put it in a recipe that I've got it. Otherwise I've got it all in the dehydrator right now, unless, until more grows. But I don't think I need to dehydrate anymore. I'll be giving away basil now. I've got so much. My roommate not home yet from work. Oh, I see. So do y'all split expenses? Is that what you and your roommate do, Slim Twiggy? Are you making peanut butter cookies? Soon I will. I brought peanut butter the last time I was at the grocery store. So I will be making some peanut butter cookies pretty soon. I don't know exactly when, but me, I will put it on a video and I will make some. I've been doing a lot of cooking videos lately because there's not a whole lot I can do in the garden. I mean, you need to start raking up stuff and getting my compost going and all that. But I've got everything planted that I can plant right now, and it's all popping up out of the ground. Or out of the dirt, the soil in the totes and the buckets. So there's only maybe 1 or 2 spots that stuff has not come up. But I want to wait because sometimes it takes a little longer for it to come up. So I don't want to run out there and plant more seeds of something else and then all of a sudden all of the seeds come up. Then I'm not going to have anywhere to transplant it. So I love what you did with the watermelon. Oh yeah, I did too. That especially the watermelon lemonade, that is so good. Oh my gosh. Well, the slushy is good too. And even, I guess, if you're a diabetic, I don't know if you can eat watermelon and other fresh fruit. I know some of the fruit has a lot of sugar content. But I tell you what, that was so good. And do you know that you can actually, you know how I cut that watermelon and you can use it as a bowl when you've emptied the red watermelon out of it? You can fill it full of strawberries, grapes, all kind of cut up fresh fruit, and then take Jell-O, mix up Jell-O, and pour it in there and fill it up level with the top. Let it set for a couple of hours, and then you can turn it and slice it. And you've got Jell-O and fruit sliced wedges from your watermelon. It's kind of neat. I did another part of the video to add to it, but I went ahead and published the video before I attached that little section to it, so I said, oh well, I'll just tell you about it. But yeah, you can use the small individual watermelons and make your watermelon lemonade and actually pour it back in the little watermelon half. Use it as a bowl, like, and put you some straws in it and drink your watermelon lemonade right out of your half a watermelon, the individual ones. And it's so neat to do that, like at a party, a dinner party, kids party, or something like that, you know. Oh, the watermelon rind jam, that is wonderful. I just didn't have enough little jars. I only had 2 of these little jars to put them in, and I wanted all of it put in these little jars. But I've got 2 this size, and then I've got 2 pint jars full of it. But I think I'm going to buy me a case of the small little jars like that you can put like jams and jellies and condiments, you know, the stuff that you don't need a great big jar for. I'm going to buy some of those so I'll have them. I had them in the past and years ago, and I ended up giving a lot of stuff as gifts, and I, you know, didn't get the jars back. Hi, Peter. How are you? And there's Kathy Phillips. Hello, Kathy. Kathy and Peter just joined us. Yeah, I like the small bottles for the jam. Really, I do. But that whole watermelon, the rind, it took that whole watermelon rind to make those 4 little jars of that jam. But it's worth it because it's so good. You know, it's like a specialty jam. It's not something you're going to go buy off of every counter in the stores, that's for sure. Yes, I'm well, Peter. Hope you are too. And there's Judy Kirk. Hello, Judy. Welcome. You know, there was a place when I was married to my first husband many, many years ago in North Carolina. And we lived in a place called Lagoon. And it was real sandy there, so you really couldn't plant a garden. It was too sandy to grow anything, really. But across the street from our house, we had put in a mobile home next to his parents' house. And that's where we lived the whole time we were married for 10 years. And across the street, there was these wild plums. There was just lots and lots of wild plum bushes. And I said, well, I bet they would make good jelly. I went over there one day and I picked them. I just picked me a bucket full. I went home and I started getting them all ready to make jam or jelly out of them. I strained that stuff after it was cooked. It was clear as a glass of water. You know, there was nothing in it. It was so pure. And it was like a burgundy color, but you could see through it because it wasn't real dark. And my mother-in-law said that was the best jelly she had ever eaten in her life. That she didn't know that those plums across the street that were growing wild would make jelly like that. And they said, oh, you need to enter it in the fair. You know, you need to enter it in the fair. You'd probably win a blue ribbon. Well, I didn't even go to the fair back then, so much less enter anything into the fair. Yeah, but I wanted to come up with as many different ways as I could use the watermelon as possible. And you know, there's salads that you make. You can use like spinach. You cube up your watermelon and put it in your salad with sesame seeds and almonds and different things, and it makes a really good green salad with watermelon. Judy Kirk, guess I don't get my answer. What do you mean? Don't. Sometimes I don't. Did you ask me a question, Judy? Sometimes I don't get every single one of the comments. Did you video the rest of the watermelon jam? Did I not post the whole video? Don't tell me I didn't post but half a video. Now you got me worried. What about my, she said, did you video the rest of the watermelon jam? I made a video and posted it this morning or today on making watermelon jam. Boulder City, hello. First time I've seen you in chat. Welcome. From Nevada. You can't find it? Well, go to your browser, type in Linda Hauser. Just do a search on Linda Hauser in YouTube. Go to YouTube first. Type in Linda Hauser. And the first picture of me that you see come up, it's usually a round circle with my picture inside. Click on that and a whole list of my videos will come up. And the most recent videos will be at the top of the list. So you'll be able to find it like that. I'm going to have to check that video since you told me that, because that's kind of got me worried. I thought that video was just the whole video. I don't think I had to I'm checking now. I didn't think I had to add anything to it. I thought that was my whole video. Sometimes can you show how you sharpen your knives? Okay, I'll do that. I've got a knife sharpener. It's a Ninja knife sharpener that I use. Yeah, I mean, I just typed in my name and did a search in YouTube, and the first one that came up was the picture with the round picture, and then underneath that was the live that we're on right now, and underneath that was the watermelon jam. I'm going to send it right to the end of the video and see, make sure I got everything on that video. Oh, you know what? I may not have. I worked on it so late last night and I was so tired, and then I tried to finish it up this morning and I thought I had finished that one and I went ahead and posted it. You know what? You're right. I did not. I had an ending to it, but the ending was just where I finished cooking the jam and it was cooked enough. I put it in the blender. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to fix that. Can't believe I did that. And I'm hoping I saved the other part of it. Because usually when I upload videos, I get rid of the old videos because I don't have enough room on my computer or my camera or anything to save all of it. But if I have to, I'll post it separately. I don't know. Let's see on this lemonade one. I think the lemonade was all. Yeah, the end of the lemonade one was where I was going to figure out something else to do with the rest of it. But yeah, I'm sorry about that. I thought I had put that whole video up. I'm going to have to take care of that and I'll repost it. But all I did at the end of that video that you saw that I posted, when that watermelon had finished cooking and it was getting clear and kind of gooey like, or creamy, I don't know what you call it. I put it in my blender, my Ninja blender, and I just liquefied it basically. And as soon as I did that, then I poured it in my jars. And see, I didn't post the part where I guess that I put it in the, I don't know. I'm getting dingy here lately. I guess I'm trying to do too much, I guess. I don't know. I know, I'm always tough with the sauerkraut. Okay, Slim, well, enjoy your supper. Well, hey, Boulder City, we're glad to have you. And Judy Kirk. I got to find that part of that video now, and I've got to. I hate it when I do stuff like that. Let's see. Well, I did show you that I was putting the jars in the pot to sterilize them. But yeah, at the end of that video, there was another section, part of it, the ending of it, where the watermelon finished cooking. Like I said, I let it cool a minute or two, and then I poured it in my blender. I just pulverized it, turned it to pure liquid. I had my jars out on a towel draining already, so they were cool. And I filled the jars. I put the lids on them and just turned them with my hand, didn't tighten them too tight. And my computer is doing flips on me here. But anyway, I put the lid on them, just give it a turn. You don't want to tighten them down too tight. And then put them back on in the pot, in the water, the hot water. Just stand your jars up. I put the lid on it, and you got to have boiling water. It's got to be boiling. And you boil them for 10 minutes. That sterilizes everything in it. It gets the jars hot. It gets the lids hot. And when you take them out, you can set them on a towel or anything. Be careful because they're going to be really hot. And just leave them alone and let them cool. But when you take them out, you can tighten the lids down. Whenever you take them out of that boiling hot water to cool off, you can take a mitt, one of your cooking mitts or something to protect your hand, and tighten your lids down as tight as you can get them. And then just sit them on your counter and let them cool. And right away, you're going to start hearing those lids go pop. They go ting, ting, ting. It scared me because I think the minute I took one out and put it down on the counter, it went ting. I said, well, that one's sealed. But every one of them will do that. And what happens is that top lid will go down, and it vacuums, seals it. And you don't have to worry about them. They're sealed, they're protected, they'll last probably a year or more. I know if you do open that jelly, you want to eat it in, say, 4 months. You don't want to keep it opened, after you opened it for a whole year. You want to make sure you eat it in about at least 3 or 4 months. Yeah, that's the, see, I had to put some in pint jars. That's my watermelon jelly. Like I was telling everybody, I wanted all of these small jars to put my jam in, but I didn't have any. I just had those two, and I didn't realize it till I got ready to do it, and then I didn't want to run to the store. So I said next time I go to the store, I'll buy another case of the small jars. Yeah, called boiling water canning. Yeah, some of those jars have dried basil in them, and the others are my watermelon jam. Yeah, when it pops, you know that it's sealed because it pops the lid down. Because when the lid is first on, it's got a little like hump on the lid, but when it pings, it pops that lid down, it vacuums it down, so when you run your finger across it, it's smooth, or it's almost got an indent, and your jar is sealed. And if it's not sealed, you need to put it back in that hot boiling water for another 10 minutes. Try it again till it seals. But I'm sorry about that video. I did not realize I did not put the last part of it in there. I thought I had it in there. And I don't know. I'm still drinking tea, honey, and lemon. Oh, me. Let me see what I can find here. That's got me worried. I don't like that. Because I already had it saved. I'm hoping this is it, and I can put it back on. Put it back on there. No, that's not it. Huh. I had a section that I was going to put on there that was about freezing the watermelon and stuff, and but that was, I think, before I did all the canning. Well, that might have been the main one. I don't know. Huh. I bet you I've deleted it and I don't have it. I can't believe I did that, y'all. I need a keeper, don't I? That's one reason I hate to do a video in sections, because a lot of times I don't get the sections back together, and that's frustrating. Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. Boulder City says, like when you open a new jar of something, yeah, it'll pop. Yeah, but at the end of that video that I did post, which I didn't realize I didn't put the ending on it, I went back, the watermelon was done, I put it in the blender, blended it up, and then I just poured it in my jars, put the lids on, put it in the pot to sterilize them, put the lid on it, and just leave them for 10 minutes in boiling water, and then you can take them out. I even had my timer set and everything on video, so I wouldn't let the time go over with me. But I'm going to try to find it, and I'll try to repost it, or make another video and say that's part 2 of it. I don't know, something. But you should be able to find the whole video, the one where, you know, I was cooking it and everything, the jam. You just didn't see the ending of it where I poured it actually in the jars. But I'm sorry, because I thought I put that on there. That was my big mistake. You notice that too, every time you open a brand new jar, how it pops? That's because you broke the seal. Because it was vacuum sealed and the air all of a sudden went back in it and it makes a sound, makes a pop. You saw the part where it was cooking, right? You just didn't see the end of it where I poured it in the jars. Yeah, I could have swore I did that. Well, you know, if you have a garden and you're growing stuff, it's good to know how to do stuff like that, because if you have a lot of cabbage, you can't eat it all at one time. So you got to preserve it or sell it or do something with it. So, and if you like sauerkraut, that's a great way to preserve your food, your cabbage, without going to big entailed way to do it. I mean, all you need is your cabbage and your salt, basically. And that you don't even have to put water in it, because the cabbage and the salt makes its own brine. You made Lilicoa jelly. I don't know what that is. It's probably some kind of fruit that you have in Hawaii that we don't have here. Passion fruit, yeah, okay. Yeah, I've never used the passion fruit to make jelly. It's very, on rare occasions that really I buy passion fruit. Oh, you grow it. Well, that's really good. I wish I could grow it here. Give little buddy an apron and a chef's hat? Yeah. He may have been part of the reason I didn't get it put on the end of the video. He may have distracted me so that I thought I put it on there and I didn't. And there's Annie Watson. Annie, did you get those fishing lures? I've seen you in several chats since I mailed those, but I didn't know if you got them or not. Yes, you got them. Okay, then I won't worry about it. At least you got them. I hope your husband can use them. I'm nowhere near salt water, so saltwater lures don't help me here. No, I've not had mint jam, Sharon. That might be another thing I will try. I don't know. I've got usually plenty of peppermint growing. I don't have as much this year as normally because it's been so hot. But I've got several pots of peppermint that come up every year. But I had that big cabbage. That was one of the things that was sent to me in that grocery haul. And it was so big, it wouldn't go in my little the produce bin in the bottom of the refrigerator. It was too big. You couldn't put it in there unless you cut it in half. And my bin was already full because I had put some other stuff in there that was sent. So I decided, and I had a cabbage down there. So I decided I was going to take that big one and just make some sauerkraut. So that's what I did. And my sauerkraut's over here on the counter right now. I've been checking it every day to make sure it's okay. And I just threw a dishcloth over the top of it just to keep the light from shining on it. I know you're not supposed to have it in the direct sunlight. I mean, the lights probably won't hurt it, but I just threw a dish towel over it anyway. I'm probably going to make pies and muffins and different things with the pumpkins. He's waiting for my son-in-law so they can go fishing. Well, tell them when they go to catch me a big fish. Or catch one for me. Blame it on little buddy. Oh, don't want to blame everything on little buddy. He's loving it since it's, cooled off a little bit. He can stay outside more. So he'll come running in, he'll eat, and he's right back out. He's out roaming around. He's enjoying himself since the temperatures have cooled off quite a bit. Susan Proctor, well, hello. Glad you could make it. I don't know that you can buy watermelon jam. I've never seen any anywhere. That's one reason I wanted to try it. I've never made it before. This was the first time. But it's good. But I think the next time I make it, I'm going to put it in the pressure cooker. That way I don't have to cook it for so long. And the pressure cooker will really do a good job on cooking it real fast. Yep, just like a man, little buddy, he eats and he runs. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but a lot of people like to do that. And if they've got gardens and if they grow watermelon, they want to do something with their watermelons. They don't want to throw them away unless they can sell them. Because, it's a lot of work to grow a garden, too. And you don't want to waste the food and the fruit that comes from your garden. Becky from Acres Homestead, I think it is. Yeah, I learned a lot from watching different channels for YouTube. I have a lot of friends through YouTube, on their channels. Well, if you can any food out of your garden, it's going to be work. You can't can a lot of stuff without it being work. My gosh, my mom. My dad planted a big garden every year. And she always canned beans, canned tomatoes, canned beets, pickle beets. She'd freeze corn. She'd freeze all kind of stuff. What she couldn't get in the freezer was canned. And we had one of those great big long chest type deep freezes on the back porch. And she filled that up every year with vegetables from the garden. And then she had tons of cans, quart jars, pint jars that were just full of all kind of vegetables from the garden. And that's what we ate all year. Me and my 5 brothers, we ate what my mom put in the freezer and what she canned. And I helped her with a lot of it, shucking corn, cutting corn off the cob to make cream corn or whole kernel corn to go in the freezer, snapping beans, doing tomatoes, all kind of stuff. It was fun for me, but I know it was a lot of work for my mom. And you save a lot of money at the grocery store when you can do that too. If you got a freezer full of vegetables and stuff, you don't have to buy all that at the store. Gladys is going live at midnight with her wooden Indian. Are we going to watch, Gladys, y'all? I am. You said you'd buy some? What are you talking about? The watermelon jam that you'd buy? Yeah, I didn't realize it's in the instructions it said it only took an hour to cook that watermelon. But maybe the watermelon I had was greener. I don't know. But it took a lot longer than an hour. That's why I said the next time I'm putting it in a pressure cooker and I'll cook it up in a hurry. I'm not going to spend 2 or 3 hours boiling it on the top of the stove. Well, I started my channel and I wasn't sure it'd go over good or not. But all of a sudden I was getting good response to everything. And when I started it up, I put in there uh, composting in place, gardening, growing your own food, and how to cook your food. So that's why I started doing cooking videos as well. I started actually starting out cooking what I got out of the garden, because some people don't know what to do with a squash or a zucchini. And I made some killer zucchini bread. I'll tell you what, I don't know why they called that one, the recipe that I have, zucchini bread, because it tasted to me like you were eating a cake with icing on it. It was so good. Oh my God. But yeah, I started my channel on composting in place, in totes and buckets and stuff like that. And then not only growing what you eat, but how to cook what you're growing. Because a lot of people, when they grow stuff, they don't know how to cook it. They don't know what to do with it later. So, or even in the store, they don't buy certain vegetables because they don't really know how to prepare it. But it can get to be quite a job. And I was almost letting it get the best of me. Yeah, I started out getting a bunch of people that were into gardening that would come on and ask questions on gardening, but I think they felt self-conscious because there was a lot of people on here that were not talking gardening. They were talking about everything else, and they kind of shied away from coming into chat. And I'm sorry that happened, because I really started having the chat because some of my subscribers said, well, go live so we can ask you questions on gardening and on cooking, the vegetables and this, that, and the other. But like I said, it's kind of turned into just a fun time, not so much a question and answer time. So yeah, that lemonade is really good. That watermelon lemonade, oh my gosh. And I'll be drinking that for a while because I've got the frozen ice cubes up in the freezer. I've got a pint jar of it already mixed in the refrigerator. And then I've still got some cut up watermelon in there. Yeah, I'll have to go back and check my videos and see what I've done. There's no telling. Well, my problem here, I've got so many rocks and boulders in my yard. It's hard to have a garden in the ground. So I tried planting in pots and buckets and stuff like that, and it worked. So then I started getting totes to plant in those because they were a little bit cheaper than buying a big, nice pot, like a flower pot. I mean, I can buy a tote or a bucket for $7, where some of these big fancy pots cost you $20, $30. So and that pot that I put my jars in, that's actually a steamer. I mean, you can use it as just a regular pot to cook things in, but I've got a tray that fits in the top of it that you actually lay your hamburger buns or hot dog buns on and put the lid on it, and you can steam your buns, and it makes them real soft and moist. So if your buns get a little bit of stale, you know how they do, you can put them in the steamer and it brings them back the way they were when they were fresh. I don't use it a lot for that anymore since my kids are not here, because I don't usually use that many hamburger or hot dog buns. Steam your buns. Yeah, since that good one rain that we got, my garden has tried to come back to life. Sorry, gave me a giggle. Yeah, it's funny because I'm going to have more bell pepper this year than anything else. And last year, I had more hot peppers than I did anything else. And I don't have one hot pepper bush out there right now. All the pepper bushes that survived are all bell pepper. They're either yellow, they're gold, or they're red, or they're green bell peppers. They haven't produced, but they're trying to, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, I know, Susan. You could steam your buns outside. You didn't need to put them in a steamer. Well, I don't know. It's so expensive to mail it. It's so expensive to mail it, so people probably would not want to pay the price for a jar of jam when they have to pay for the jam and then pay for the postage too. I know I sent Gladys a dozen cookies, chocolate chip cookies, and it cost me over $15 to mail that box of cookies. And then the next batch I sent her a dozen, and it still cost me $8.50 to mail that one dozen cookies to her. So postage is pretty expensive. April says, "Ooh la la, I just made the watermelon drink. Yum yum, it's delicious." I said, well, every recipe that I had found always, it was always like making a margarita or something like that with alcohol. And I don't drink alcohol. So I was coming up with drinks I could fix that were non-alcoholic. It tickled me one time. My mom came out on vacation, and it was excuse me, y'all. But it was real hot. And I started buying this frozen margarita mix that was in the little frozen cans, like you would buy a can of biscuit, but you could get the frozen drink mix in those little cans. And I would get orange juice sometimes. I would get margarita mix sometimes. So when Mom was here, it was so hot, I just wanted something good to drink. So I took that little can of margarita mix out. I threw it in the blender with some ice, mixed it all up, got it ready, poured it in one of those Coca-Cola cups or glasses like I put my lemonade in. And I gave it to my mom. I said, "Here, Mom, have a margarita." She said, "Well, I don't want alcohol." I said, "There's no alcohol in it." I said, "It's a virgin margarita. It's non-alcoholic. But it makes a good drink. You don't have to put alcohol in it if you don't want to. But it does make a really good drink." So she couldn't even drink all of it. She said, "Oh, that was cold. It does feel good." You like to make cactus jam? I've never tried doing that. I know people that have. And we had a store here in town at one time. I don't think it's there anymore. They sold all kind of cactus jam, cactus jelly, cactus lollipops. They would sell jalapeno lollipops. All different kind of stuff done out of jalapenos and cactus. And it kind of steered me away from trying to work with the cactus because of all the stickers. If I could get the cactus that did not have stickers, I would work with it. But all the cactus that grows around my house here is full of those big old stickers, and you don't want to mess with that stuff. But yeah, I bet cactus jam would be real good. April says, "I put a little salt since I sweat a lot, yeah. Yeah, I sweat a lot too. I mean, I sweat like crazy. But I've had surgery and they took out 22 lymph nodes when they didn't have to. But ever since then, it's caused my body to retain that fluid that comes through where the lymph nodes aren't there no more. And it causes my left arm to sweat, puff up. And my surgeon told me that I needed to sweat. Well, I don't have a membership to a gym where I can go sit in their sauna. I don't have a sauna here at my house. But getting out working in the yard in the heat is the way I sweat. And I got down pretty small this summer out there in that 100-degree temperature messing around my garden. And that day I went to film the 4th of July parade. I was out there for hours that morning videoing that whole parade. And every bit of my clothes were wet with sweat when I left that parade. Got home, took a shower, changed, went to my son's house for the 4th. And he says, Mom, you look like you've lost some weight. I said, yeah, I just sweated off. Sweated all that weight off in the 4th of July parade. I love the pot. Are you talking about the pot I put my jars in? Boulder City? It's hydrating and it's just so good. It's really good. I had one of my subscribers mention, or they commented on one of my videos that I saw the comment of, and they encouraged me to go sign up on khal.com. It's a cooking website. That's all you'll see there is all kind of cooking website or cooking videos or recipes and that type of thing. So I went ahead and signed up on it. And I've got about 118 videos posted on there. But every one that I got posted on there, I've got posted on YouTube. So all my YouTube subscribers don't miss any of my videos because I post them to YouTube first, and then I'll put them over on there. Yeah, it's good exercise too, April, when you're working in your garden. Well, I don't know. I've had some trials and errors in my cooking before. Sometimes if it didn't turn out exactly the way it was supposed to do, I would improvise, turn it into something else. Becky Allen, hello. Need Redmond mineral salt. Coconut water is full of electrolytes. Well, I do get that Powerade and what is it? I can't think of the name of it. Those drinks that you drink that's supposed to be so good for rehydrating your system, and it has electrolytes and all that stuff in it. They can get pretty expensive to buy them though. Well, the only time I share my canning with anyone usually is if I give someone a jar of something as a gift. Like my son, when I first started making my cowboy candy and my tomato relish, green tomato relish, I gave him some jars of it, but that was a gift. It was just not a giveaway. And I gave my new neighbor across the street when she first moved in, I gave her a pint jar of cowboy candy, and I gave her a pint jar of the green tomato relish, and I told her that was a welcome to the neighborhood gift. So, that's basically the only ones I give away. And I did send my brother, who lives in Tucson, Arizona, a year ago, I sent him a jar of the cowboy candy and the relish for Christmas. And he was tickled to death over it. So that's what I usually do with some of it. I don't give it away. I mean, if I go to the trouble to grow it and can it, I'm going to keep it and I'm going to eat it. That's what gets me through the winter months. I just haven't had anything to can or store this summer. It's been too hot for anything to produce, really. I mean, I usually have tomatoes to can. I usually have cucumbers to can pickles. I had so many zucchini and squash one year that I pickled them right along with my cucumbers. And they were really good. They make good cucumbers. I mean, they make good pickles. Susan Proctor said, Dylan's here, which is a Kroger store, has that drink every once in a while, 10 for $10. Oh, I didn't know that. I'll have to check Kroger's out. I usually go to Walmart's grocery. We have a super Walmart here, and it's closest, and that's usually where I go. But occasionally I go up to Kroger, or I go to H-E-B, but they're way on the other side of town. I mean, not that far. I mean, I can drive it. It's just a few more minutes, but they are on the other side of town. It's just more convenient to pull into Walmart grocery and get stuff there. Gatorade is what I was trying to think of. Couldn't think of the name of that stuff. Well, there's Jerry Malloy. Hello, Jerry. Finally made it to Miss Linda. Great to see you and all the others, Jerry. Well, it's good to see you that you made it into our chat. And Lori, hey, Lori, I missed you. No, you didn't miss me tonight. You got it. I know prices on everything is going up. And that's another reason I started my channel, is because I figured out how to grow in these extreme temperature, extreme climate that we have here in Texas. I found that you could grow it in your pots, your totes and stuff. Now, if it gets blazing hot constantly all summer like it did this summer, you may not do it, because it's hurt my garden. But on a normal summer for Texas, if you're not in a low-lying area where the ground stays halfway damp, if you're up on a mountain like I am, where it's so dry, you can grow things in totes, buckets, and big pots. I mean, you can grow your vegetables that way. And if you know how to can them, you can store them for the winter. I mean, you may not be able to store a whole winter's worth of food, but hey, every little bit helps. Everything that you don't have to buy at the store helps. And a lot of times what you can yourself or freeze yourself tastes a lot better than what you get at the store. Well, I've got another video waiting to come out in the morning. I haven't uploaded it yet. The jar pot. Oh, you're talking about the pot that I put my jars in to sterilize them. Yeah, that was just my steamer. I've got a regular canner, but I didn't want to dig it out for those few jars, so I just used that one. It was the closest one. The easiest one to grab. Because I've got one cabinet here that I keep all my pots and pans stored in. And it's like Stack City, one on top of the other. So sometimes if you want the big one on the bottom, you got to take all of them out to get the bottom one. Yeah, you save money, April, and you eat good. Because you grew your own food. You know what went into that food. You know there's not a bunch of chemicals or something that you don't want to consume. And fresh stuff out of your own garden always tastes better than stuff you buy in the store that's been processed. And you save money. Because prices just keep going up on food. It's unreal. Yeah, I bought that steamer years ago, years and years ago. I can't remember if I had it when I came to Texas or I bought it right after we came to Texas. But I've had it for many years. And my son said one time, Mama, you need to get rid of some of them pots and pans. I said, no, I don't, because I always find a use for them. Sooner or later, I use them. I just don't buy any more. Yeah, pick fresh. I love to cook fresh vegetables out of the garden. I went out and picked the rest of my Swiss chard, and I had a big dish pan full in the video, and I cooked it, and I've still got some in the refrigerator because I can cook a big pot full like that, and it'll last me for a week. I'll have greens for every meal for a week. And if I ate greens for every meal for a week, it'd probably cost me $7, $8 to buy that much at the store, because I usually buy the big bags of greens, and they're usually $4 or $5 for a bag. They're not cheap. So I grow mine and I eat them, and then I can buy something else, Susan says, I'm in an apartment, can't grow stuff, but shop sales at the stores and get things, mainly veggies, then cut them up like I want them and freeze them after sealing them. Well, good for you, Susan. I had a deep freeze, but it went on the blink, and I got rid of it, and I've not replaced it, so I got rid of it because at the time I didn't have nothing to put in it. And then I got into gardening big time, and I said, well, now I could use my freezer. And this summer, see, a freezer would have not done me any good, because I've been using the freezer up here in my refrigerator, and that's been plenty big. But other times when I have a good garden coming in, yeah, I could use a good small chest freezer. I said maybe I'll break down one of these days and get one of the smallest ones they make, which is kind of tiny. Hi, Jody. How are you? You found some great sales today on meat and a few things in my list, but you got to get stuff when you can find it. That's me. If I have the money and I go in a store to buy a loaf of bread and I see that there's meat on sale and it's a good deal, honey, I'll get it. If I got any place to put it in my freezer up here, I will buy that meat. I'm not going to wait for it to go back to full price and pay double for it. I usually buy steaks that way. A lot of times our Brookshires will have buy one sirloin, get one for a penny. So I'll try to find two that's of equal price, so I pay for one and I get the other one for a penny. And they do pork chops that way, ground beef a lot of times, and unless they charge an awful lot for the first one now. If they charge a reasonable price for the steak, then I'll buy one and get one for a penny. But if they charge too much for the first one, I'm not going to get it at all. Yeah, I don't usually get steak either, but that's how I buy it when I do get it. I don't pay $14, $15 for one steak. I might pay $14 and get two steaks. Right, and if you can get it for $8.99 on sale, why not if you're in the market for it, when it's normally $13.99 a pound? Wow, that's pretty good. I haven't had catfish lately. I need to go get me some catfish. I haven't had shrimp in a long time either. Lobster, I love shrimp, catfish, Just about all seafood I love, but it's so expensive. I know a friend of mine said the last time he went in a store, um, he was thinking about getting some catfish fillets and taking them home and cooking them. And he said they were almost like $10 a pound for catfish. He said, I didn't get any. Yeah, I used to buy the stuff that was already breaded and all that, but I try to stay away from eating breaded foods as much as possible. I mean, I still eat way too much bread as it is, like in pizzas and everything else. But when it comes to chicken nuggets and all that kind of stuff, I try to stay away from them because I don't want all that bread on them. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love them. And I kept looking at this box of fish sticks the other day. I said, it's probably been 15 years since I've eaten a fish stick. And I used to love those things. I bought them all the time. So I'm going to break down bad here one of these grocery trips. And I've got to get me a box of fish sticks. I love those things. Yeah, that's the way to go, Susan. Use your neighbor's freezer and then share it. Yeah, we have a Dollar Tree. We've got Dollar General. I love going to Dollar Tree, but it's not just for $1 anymore. It's $1.25 and up. I mean, they've got stuff for $5, $6, $7 in there now. So it's not just $1. The Dollar Tree is where I bought all of the little black buckets that I bought that I use in my garden. I use some of them for planting in, and I use some of them for the water catchment buckets to my big pots. Yeah, I noticed they've got some good foods and stuff in there too. I haven't bought a whole lot of food in there, but I bought some. I mean, I go in there and walk through the store, and if it looks good, I'll buy it. Yeah, they have some frozen foods. They have like pizza pockets and, I don't know, burritos and kind of fast cooking stuff. And I don't know what kind of vegetables they've got in the frozen section. I really haven't looked at everything. And there's Bloomin'. I've been listening. Oh no, don't feel like chatting. Okay, I'll listen. I'm so sorry, Bloomin'. 103, that's not good. I'd be seeing dogs and cats climbing the wall if I had 103 temperature. Just looks like something the doctors could do about all that. I mean, I know that you say they give you medicine, but you still have those fevers from your health problems quite often. I know it happens a lot. And I'm sorry you're going through that. I hate it. You're a sweet person, and I hate for a person that is as good as you are to have to suffer like that. Yeah, you'll be okay, but I just, I still hate for you to suffer that way. That's awful that you have to go through that. Yeah, I've lived on like a strict budget right from the first time I left home in my first marriage. My first husband was good as gold, but he didn't make very much money, so you'd have to strangle your money. It was beyond pinching pennies. So I had to make every dime count, every penny count. So that's what got me started on cooking and saving food and, looking out for next week, not just for today when it comes to food and what I spent. And that's what's got me through all these years of living alone by myself on my own income, is being able to watch what I spend, make everything I spend count to the most, and not waste my food. I tell you, there's people in my own neighborhood that throw more food away probably every day than I eat in a week. And it's a shame. You know, the Bible says, waste not, want not. So that's the way I look at it. If I can save food, I'm going to save it. If I can make my own TV dinners out of the food I cook, I'm going to do it. Says Linda, being I'm the only sweet blooming. Okay, Bloomin', you just rest. I hope you feel better. Just listen in. You don't have to chat if you don't feel like it. I mean, I grew up in a family. I mean, it was a large family. My dad made pretty decent money when he was in the Navy. He was making the Navy a career, but he got out after 13 years. So he didn't get that full pension and stuff that he would have gotten if he'd have stayed in, for the full 20 years. So, yeah, and the jobs after we moved back to North Carolina were far and in between because we lived in such a small little country town. You had to go out of town to go to work. And so money was scarce with my parents too. We lived in a big house, but I had 5 brothers. And we didn't have a whole lot. But we had what we needed. We had food to eat. We had clothes on our back. We had running water in our house. We had a bathroom to use, a tub to bathe in. You know, we had the essentials of life, put it that way. And and we never expected more. I mean, that's just the way it was. We didn't gripe about it. We sat down to eat. We ate what was on the table. Nobody ever complained. Really, we didn't have any reason to complain because anything my mom cooked was good. I mean, she was a real good cook. Oh, I've got to get a cough drop in my mouth. I'm sitting over this vent in the kitchen from the AC, and I think when it comes on, it's blowing air that I'm breathing in it, and that's why I'm starting to cough. But yeah, I mean, getting back to the way my mom can, we picked blueberries in the summer. We had blueberry fields all around us, and they'd let you go in and pick blueberries. Like at the end of their season, because they would pick blueberries to sell. And then there was a certain time of the year they'd let you go in and pick all you wanted that was left in there. Well, we'd go in there and pick them, and my mom would can those blueberries. We'd go get peaches the same way, and she'd can them or she'd freeze them. She made applesauce. I mean, she did all kind of stuff. And I can remember times when it got tough. In the winter months when my dad was, the jobs were tight. And he didn't have that much money coming in. We always had food on the table. But I remember times when we'd sit down and my mom had this big, round, yellow porcelain bowl. She'd open a big half-gallon jar of blueberries that she'd canned. And, they'd been cooked and everything. She'd pour them in that bowl, put them right in the middle of the table, and come up with a great big old pan of hot biscuits that she'd just made. I tell you what, You couldn't have asked for anything healthier. Blueberries are good for you. And oh, they're so good with hot biscuit with butter in them. And we ate that stuff. I mean, that was like dessert, you know, that was eating dessert for dinner. But then when she made spaghetti, she'd make fresh homemade spaghetti, and she'd use that same big bowl. She'd make that spaghetti, she'd put it in that bowl, mix it up with the sauce, set it right on the table, come out with a hot pan of biscuit, and we'd start scooping spaghetti out in our plate and eat with those hot biscuits. There wasn't nothing left usually at that table when we got up. So we had food to eat. And then there was times when she'd make pork chops and open a jar of canned snap beans, green beans, and put some potatoes in them. That was good eating with hot biscuit, homemade biscuit, not canned biscuit. And because I remember she'd always buy just enough pork chops, so we'd have one pork chop each. And she'd put those pork chops in a plate. My dad would pick it up. He'd get his pork chop, put it in his plate. He'd pass that plate around, and everybody would get their pork chop. And the plate was empty when it got back to my dad. Nobody ever complained because they didn't get another pork chop. Because they got enough beans and potatoes and biscuit and everything else to go with that pork chop. They were full when you got up from the table. You don't need to sit down and eat 3 or 4 pork chops at one meal anyway. So, and chicken was the same way. My mom would buy a whole chicken, cut it up. That's how I learned how to cut up a chicken, was watching my mom do it. So I'd start cutting up chickens before she'd get home and have them on cooking by the time she'd get home from school. Frying in the pan. And like I said, we'd put them in a plate. It'd get passed around the table. By the time it got made one round, it was empty. But I never heard anybody complain at our kitchen table about anything that was there to eat, because it was all good. Yeah, family dinners, and we always did that. We sat down for breakfast. If we were home at lunchtime, we sat down at lunch. We sat down at supper. You sat down with the family to eat. It was none of this mess of running in, grabbing a sandwich and out, or running to McDonald's, getting a burger, or, you know, you had family meals. And I'm not knocking McDonald's. I go by there and get me a burger once in a while. Not very often, but I do it. But I miss that. And when my kids were growing up, it was just them and me, my 2 kids and myself. But we had our family meal. You know, I'd cook it, put it on the table, we'd set it at the table, and we ate. And there was other times when I'd take them to ball games, you know. We'd go through a drive-through and pick up a hamburger or something through there. Or if we were at a ball game, we may get a hot dog or, what do you call it, a Frito pie or something like that at the ball game. Or we'd get tacos or something like that. So, I mean, I'm not saying I don't eat fast food, because I will occasionally, but most of my food I'm preparing at home. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to eat at home. Especially since my kids aren't here and I don't go to those ball games and stuff anymore. They all sit in the restaurants with all of them and their faces in the phone, and yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't have family dinners like we used to. You'd actually sit, eat, take your time, and actually talk to one another, maybe. Today, you go see somebody, I don't know why they come see you. They sit on the furniture and they're on their phone the whole time they're there. They're not talking to you. They're on their phone. So I'm just not, didn't grow up that way. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have computers. And don't get me wrong, I love my computer, I love my cell phone, and I make good use of all of it. But if I go see somebody, most of the time my phone is going to be in my bag, my handbag. It's not going to be in my hand. I'm not going to be sitting there on my phone and ignoring who I went to see and be on my phone the whole time I'm there. I mean, if I was going to do that, I'd have stayed home. Yeah, people, they just don't live like they used to. I mean, everything is so fast paced today. It's all about convenience. It's all about the dollar. And don't get me wrong, I'm about the dollar too, because I have to be able to keep my bills paid, but you know what I'm talking about. There's some things more important than going out there making lots and lots of money. If you live in a decent house, you got decent money coming in, you got food on the table, you got clothes on your back, you pay your bills, you know, you got all the necessities of life. You don't need to get out there and kill yourself to make thousands and thousands of dollars. And today it doesn't seem like people can make enough. And it's funny I should say that, because I just told somebody the other day, because every time I get a bill in the mail, every time I get in the bill in the mail here lately, it's went up. And I said, well, here I am trying my best to stay ahead, watch everything I spend, make a dime on YouTube to keep my bills paid, and they're here raising everything. So, you know, what am I supposed to do? We need a Tweety burger. They went up on the cable vision again, you know, my Wi-Fi. I called and complained about that, so they cut it back down, but it'll be back up the couple of dollars the next time. They went up on my sanitation pickup, and I called and fussed at them about that. And I said, well, I'm on a fixed income, and I only have one bag, a 13-gallon bag of garbage out there per week. They pick up once a week. And I said, that's too much money to charge to do that. So they cut it back down. I mean, I still pay pretty good just to pick up that one bag a week. But I figured I needed it, because what if some time comes that I have a lot more than that and I need to get rid of stuff, and then I don't have sanitation pick up to get rid of it, you know? But they did come back down on that. So a lot of times, you know, if you speak up, get on them, let them know this is too much money. A lot of times they will give you a break and they'll drop it back down. I know my insurance on my supplement to Medicare went up. I mean, it went up like $70 a month from what it was. I called them and I said, look, there's no way I'm going to pay this. I told them I live on X amount of dollars and there's not enough to pay that. So she told me, she said, well, I'll tell you what you do. You call the number on your card. You tell them exactly what you told me, and they will offer you to go with another agent. It's like starting over from square one. You get the same coverage, but you get a lot lower price. So I did that, and I'm paying lower now than I did originally before they went up on it. So I'm tickled over that. But you know, they'll gradually go back up over the years, but it might take them 10, 15 years to get back up to what they wanted to charge me. So I'll be saving a little bit in between there. Susan, I probably shouldn't have mentioned Fritos, because that's the video that I am uploading to post in the morning, is one on Frito pie. So if anybody wants to know what the recipe for a Frito pie, watch my video when I post it tomorrow. Becky, watch my video when it's posted tomorrow, and you'll see how I do my Frito pie. Yeah, maybe. Must be psychic. That's what I had for supper. I ate the Frito pie that I made for the video. That was the first one I've eaten in many years, but it was so good. And I'll probably eat the remainder of some of the sauce and stuff that I made for tomorrow. I can always add a little bit of cheese, I guess. I try to be holiday. I mean, throughout my life, it was a necessity to be able to do things for yourself and be creative. Part of the time is because I didn't have anybody most of the time to do some stuff for me, or I didn't have the money to pay someone to do things for me. So I had to do things for myself. And then, like I said, we always, even my first husband and I lived on such a strict budget that I had to learn how to stretch food. When I went to the grocery store and spent $60, I tried to turn it into $260 worth of food to eat by making different meals with it, freezing stuff, that type of thing. There is no food thrown away in this house. I said that's one reason I have such a hard time with compost. I don't have food scraps. I don't have a lot of food scraps to throw away to put in the compost pile. You have a good night, Bloomin'. Just rest. Don't worry about us. We're okay. We won't be on here much longer anyway. And I appreciate you showing up. I always know, though, if you don't show up that you're not feeling good, so. Good night, Bloomin'. Try to get that fever down. You need to take you some aspirin or something to bring that fever down some. Nobody needs to keep 103 fever all the time. You took some Tylenol? Okay, well maybe that'll bring it down some. Well, thank you, April. And thank you, Holiday. I appreciate everybody for watching my videos. Like I said, when I first started, I didn't know if anybody would even want to watch my videos or not. But I'd watched other videos myself, on cooking and different things. And I said all of these cooking videos, they try to make everything look so professional and so staged and so, not real to me. So I didn't want to do that. I said I wanted people to see that this is a real kitchen. This is country cooking. I don't put on any airs. And I may not have all the ingredients out on the counter ready for the meal that I'm going to cook. And you'll see me digging around in the cabinets and everywhere else trying to find what I didn't get out. But, hey, that's real life. In real life, you don't stage your kitchen. You don't have everything sitting right there waiting for you, at the moment you need it. Oh, really, Holiday? I know people that they do make them in those crocks. I've never seen them. I've just seen them in videos, and I've wondered how the crock worked. I'd like to try them one time. But I said it might be better for me to do it in the jars because that way I can make it a little bit at a time. I don't have to make a big crock full of it. But I think that cabbage that I got, that I made my kraut with, it probably weighed 4 pounds. because I know the recipe for the salt that you put in it was 1.5 to 2 tablespoons of salt to 3 pounds of cabbage. Well, that seemed like it was a 4 or more pound cabbage to me. It was so heavy. And that's the reason I put extra salt in mine. But yeah, the actual recipe for the brine is just 1.5 tablespoons of salt to 3 pounds of cabbage. Or if you want to make your brine and just pour it in your, like if you want to cut your cabbage up and not knead it and make it smaller like I did, you just want to cut your cabbage up small, put it in your jar and pour a rind over it. The recipe is 1.5 tablespoons of salt to 3 cups of water. And then all you do is put your cabbage in there, fill it up with water, put a leaf or something in the top to keep your cabbage under the water, and put a lid on it. And the lid needs to be loose, so it gets air. But I didn't want to use a lot of jars. And that's one reason I showed it, or tried to show it both ways. I showed you how to knead it up and how that first batch, half a cabbage, went basically in one jar. And then when I cut the other up and was going to put it in the jar without kneading it, just cutting it up, it was going to take a lot more than a jar for that cabbage. It's probably going to take 2 more jars. So I'd rather knead it up, make the cabbage smaller, break it up, let it make its brine in that bowl, and then put it in the jar. And you can, get a lot more in the jar that way. Yeah, and sauerkraut is healthy for you to eat. It's good for your gut health. Just like yogurt and everything else is that you eat for your stomach. Well, thank you, Becky Allen. I appreciate that. You guys mean a lot to me, too. Well, we're pushing almost 2 hours. I didn't realize we went that far, but I'm enjoying chatting with everybody. I like the idea of not having to do anything else and just sit and read the chat and chat with everybody, answer questions, that type of thing. It's a good thing to do. And I got that idea from one of the viewers because she loved to watch my videos, but she said there's too much chatting and all this stuff going on in there. I like your cooking videos, so do your live chats and just talk. And she said then do your cooking videos without the live chat. So that's why I started doing that. But then I had one viewer that wanted me to do a live chat while I'm cooking so she could ask me questions while I was cooking. But I told her, I said, well, do you realize if I'm cooking and I'm trying to do the video, I don't have time to get over there and read the chat. I can't do it all. So, I'd rather keep it separate. And then if there's questions that come up, they can put them in comments, or they can wait till I do have a live chat that week and then answer me any questions you have during the live chat. Oh no, I hate to hear that, Annie. I've bought sauerkraut in the little jars or the cans in the grocery store before, and it was good, but I hate to buy a whole can of it or a whole jar of it and then just eat just a tiny bit of it, And I really should have put my kraut in smaller containers. I need to start putting just about everything that I can in smaller containers because it's just me that's going to be eating it. And you can alternate your canning of your sauerkraut or making it. Like start a jar or 2 today, wait 4 or 5 days, start another couple of jars, and then keep going like that. So that way you're always in sauerkraut. You never run out. Or you can start just one jar. You can buy a cabbage and just cut enough up to fill one jar, and then wait 3 or 4 days or whatever you think you're going to eat, how long you think it might take you to eat that, and then start you another jar. Because it's going to take like 3-4 days for it to ferment. Some people like to leave it for 8 or 9 days. But you can taste it after, say, 3 or 4 days. And if your kraut seems salty enough, then it's probably already done. And you can seal it and put it in the refrigerator. If you don't think it tastes exactly the way you want it, then put it back on the counter and let it ferment for another few days. You should can in either pints of jelly jars. Yeah. It just so happened, though, that most of my jars were the quart jars that I already had. And that's what I started out canning in because I had more people to feed, at a meal. But now I don't need that much, and I need the smaller jars. But when you open, like when the sauerkraut is finished and you've got it in the refrigerator, it keeps for a long time in the refrigerator because keeping it cold in the refrigerator cuts down the fermentation. It slows it down to almost nothing. So you can keep it for quite a while in your refrigerator. But that's another reason that I suggest, like me, I can fix a jar today, wait a week or so, fix another jar. And always have a jar of it fermenting. I have one that I'm eating out of, the other one's fermenting. So by the time I empty this one, the other one's going to be ready. So it's an idea. Next time I'm not going to do 2 quarts of sauerkraut. I'm only going to do one at a time. Or maybe even a pint jar of it. But it just so happened the recipe that I was given for the brine was 1.5 tablespoons of salt to a 3-pound cabbage. So if you only fix half that much, you've got to cut your salt down. So you have to figure out how much salt is going to go to that one little jar of sauerkraut. How much cabbage is going to go in it. So once you get that figured out, you got it made. But yeah, making that watermelon rind jam would be so much easier to put it in a pressure cooker or one of those Instapots. You could cook it in an Instapot and cook it real fast. So you don't have to leave it on the stove all day long cooking. And I mean, if you make it, you gotta peel the green off of your rind. There's no way around that. You don't want that rind in your jam. That's not going to be good at all. Have you made tomato jam? No, I haven't. I didn't know they made a tomato jam. It would probably be good too. I've made different jellies, but this is actually the first jam that I made. Usually I make a jelly. Why are you afraid of it? Said, I'm afraid of my Instapot. Well, you know, I was kind of weary of my pressure cooker too, because you can blow the stem on it. I did blow mine one day. Back years and years ago when I first started cooking with it, it was just jiggling away, jiggling away, jiggling away. And I was busy doing something, and I didn't go over there and turn the pot down, you know, put it down on a low heat. And I was cooking pinto beans in that pot. All of a sudden, the spout, that little seal thing, that little red, well, if you don't have a real old-timey pressure pot, you don't know what I'm talking about. But it's got a little seal in the top of it in a hole. It blew that thing out. And I had a stream of pinto bean juice and everything else spraying up under the hood of the stove over here. And it just sprayed all over my stove. You talking about a mess? Ladies, I had a mess. I pay attention to my pot now. Ever since that happened, I said, I don't want to clean up a mess like that again. So I pay attention to my pot when it starts jiggling. When it jiggles the first time, I turn that heat down. Because you don't want it jiggling steadily. That means there's too much pressure in there, and it will blow. And that kind of got me over the fear of it. I said, well, it's already blowed up with me one time. And I had a mess all over the stove, the kitchen, under the hood, on the counters, you name it. Everything was covered with pinto beans and juice. It was awful. You just shared a Krispy Kreme donut with my dog. He loves them. I know, it's just a good thing that well, I'll show you what it was. Because most people don't know what an old-timey pressure pot lid looks like. If I can get it out, I'll show you. Well, I might have to take everything out of the cabinet to get it out. I'm not tearing up the house, y'all. This is what I'm talking about. This thing here has got a hole in it, and you put a weight on it when you're cooking with it, and it'll jiggle, and it'll make a sound, and it'll have steam spurting out of it. When that thing starts jiggling, you know to turn your heat down, because you don't want it to jiggle all the time. Well, this little thing right here, it's like a rubber plastic piece, and it's in a hole. Well, mine built up so much pressure that little thing right there blew out. All there was left was a hole in the top of the lid. And all the beans and the juice and everything went flying all under the hood of the over the stove. And therefore, when it hit the hood, it fell back down on the stove, went on the cabinets, down in the floor. It was just a mess, y'all. You don't want that to happen. So I've never let mine jiggle that much ever again. But, when you first start using something, you're not that familiar with it. You go by trial and error. And that was my error. I let it jiggle too much and it blew up on me. It protested. Showed me who's boss. Annie says, I'll stick with a regular pot. Well, see, I was used to the pressure cookers because my mom always used them. So I wasn't, I was familiar with her using a pressure pot. I've never tried one of the Instapots, but that's what an Instapot is. It's a pressure cooker. I always save my water from my chicken to use in other stuff. That is if I'm not needing it for what I'm cooking right then. Most of the time, if I'm cooking chicken, I need the broth that chicken is making to go in the dish that I'm cooking. So I don't usually have extra broth left over. Well, good night, Teresa. We're going to sign off too because, we've been on here for 2 hours. That's too long. Yeah, but when you need it, it mixes. You got to mix the salt in with the cabbage. And that's what kneading it does. It's mixing the salt in with the cabbage. And it also breaks it down and it starts producing its own brine so you don't have to put water in it. But if you do have a shredder, and you can shred it up real small, I guess, and then just pour your salt and water mixture in there, that'll work just as good. You can do it either way. I just tried to show everybody the both ways you could do it the best I could. And since I kneaded it up the first go round to do that, I just did all of it that way. Well, some people I've seen take their big pressure canners, because they've got great big ones, bigger than what I've got. I mean, they look like commercial pressure canners. And they take them outside and do their pressure canning outside in the yard. They don't even have it in the house. Because a lot of them have it on gas burners outside. Well, see, I don't usually have that much chicken broth that I can condense and freeze it. Here about a week or so ago, I did cook some chicken, and I didn't need the broth, so I did save it in a jar, and I was using it in other dishes that next week and the week after, and I don't even have any of that left now. Okay, Jody, Susan, Holiday, Becky, Jody, Ruby, Teresa, everybody, even if I haven't, April, Slim Twiggy, everybody in chat, I appreciate you showing up. I've enjoyed this chat. I love our chats. I have a good time because I'm usually home by myself all the time. I don't usually chat with anybody unless I go visit my son. So I'm going to sign off. Let y'all get some rest. I know it's getting late. It's after 9 here, 5 minutes after 9. So I know it's after 10 where most of you are. So we're going to sign off. But again, I appreciate y'all hanging in with me. Appreciate you showing up for my live chats. Appreciate you watching my videos. I love each and every one of you. Just have everybody watch, share, subscribe to my videos. And y'all have a blessed night. I'll see you on my next one. Bye now.